and yedino ekokopie mu ewo court. Yedino ekokopie mu ewo court court na se ma remind you for 2 weeks. Same person na ye catch and say ya granting no police inquiry bail onko fie na de chi a omra a osade oyo esie ye oyo a obai no okopie mu court court say wa remind ni 2 weeks all in the name of say wakwako posti ade e de afa John Dramani Mahama Felix Ofosu Kwache Sam George and one aka ho with LGBTQ design 2 solid weeks na lawyer ejeba for na enya asem koto na de enko
injustice can result in somebody losing his liberty, like has happened to Baba Amando today. Somebody losing his property that he has worked for so many years, like we have heard of the divorce matter where somebody is taking home a paltry 300,000 after having worked so many years with the husband. An injustice can also let you lose your life where you are sentenced to death. And there have been instances where people have been incarcerated and they have lost their lives or become ill as a result. This was what we're taught on our first dining session at the Honorable Society of Lincoln Saints when we were admitted as lawyers, student barristers. And so it continues to ring a bell. What happened? Yesterday, I was there when I was called by Nana B at the instance of the minority leader that Abronye had been arrested and Baba Amando was being transported from Bono region to the Greater Accra region on an allegation of having published certain pictures, which, very respectfully, I condemn. I don't think it is proper to denigrate, people who hold high offices in a certain manner. I condemn it. So President Mahama and some ministers, some George and so on and so forth, they had been painted with LGBT colors.
Oh, Felix Kwache Ofosu
as well. And so I condemn it. It's not something I approve of. However, the law remains the law. So yesterday, we went. I joined the minority leader. He did a fantastic work. He was there all day. I think he was supposed to travel outside of Ghana, but he had to cancel his flight as a result or delay it just to see that this was resolved. Nana Boache, Henry Nana Boache, the national organizer, was also there. So
what did Baba Amando's offense was that on his Facebook page, he pasted these photographs of President Mahama, Felix Kwache Ofosu, and Sam George, and dripped them in LGBT colors.
Yes.
That was the offense.
That was the offense. And Abronye...
What's the title of the offense? What's the name of the offense?
The name of the offense is that he has published false news over electronic media, contrary to Section 76 of...
false news.
False news. Let me read.
False news.
Yes. Let me.
This is more like cartooning. Does it not go into the area of cartooning where the high courts in England have held that you can see?
Imagine the number of people who would have been arrested under President Akufo-Addo's era.
That's the point.
President Akufo-Addo was caricatured. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was caricatured. At some point, they did cartoons of Dr. Bawumia holding pork.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. But yesterday, they were granted bail by the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service.
Mm-hmm. Both of them?
Both of them were granted bail.
What was Abronye's offense? That he commented on those photos or what?
No, Abronye called a judge who is adjudicating a matter as being political.
Okay.
Abronye,
Some matter. He described the judge as being political.
Okay. So yesterday they were given bail. But this is where your viewers need to appreciate. In a criminal matter, the person who is best placed to determine whether or not you're entitled to bail is the investigator.
Not the judge?
Wait. At the point of investigations, the investigator comes to the conclusion that you were a flight risk. Mm-hmm. And so he has to detain you. You are not entitled to bail. The investigator comes to the conclusion that you are likely to interfere with his investigations if you are bailed. The investigator may also come to the conclusion that for your own personal safety, in the course of the investigations, you should be held by the police in custody. So the investigator at that point does all those assessments. And so yesterday, the investigator did all those assessments and then concluded that they should be entitled to bail. They were given bail and then were required to report to the police station today at 10 o'clock. Baba Amando got there at 8 a.m., 2 hours ahead of the scheduled time. Then he was told that he was being arraigned before court. So I was hanging out because I had a case at the Supreme Court today, a matter before the law laws today. So I was at the Supreme Court. Then I was called by the former deputy attorney general, Mr. Chiayebua, who is their lawyer in Sunyani, that he's being called by the investigators that they were bringing them to court. So I hung around. It wasn't until after 1 o'clock thereabout that they brought them to court. Then I was joined by the minority leader and the national organizer again.
As defense lawyers.
As defense lawyers. So when they eventually came and the case was called by the court, these are persons who already are on bail. They have been given bail by the police.
Police inquiry bail.
Police inquiry bail.
It's different from a court bail.
It's different from a court bail.
Yeah. So they are subject to a court bail.
So they are subject to a court bail. Once the case is called in court, they are subject to a court bail. The moment the case was called, we went through the processes, and then an application for bail was made by Honorable Afenyomo Akins, the minority leader. When he made the application for bail, the police in their response said that they were not opposed to the bail application and that they leave it in the hands of the court because it is the court's discretion to grant bail. Let's be mindful of this. The discretion of the court is exercised judiciously, and the grounds on which it is exercised are all stipulated by law. And we'll soon highlight that on your screens for viewers to see. When the police has stated this, clearly the conflict is between the police and the accused person in this instance. And so ordinarily, when there's no opposition, the matter, they should be entitled to bail. After all, they were on bail and they reported to court. So where is the risk? Then the judge goes like, wouldn't you need him for investigations?
Asking the prosecution.
Asking the prosecution. Then the prosecution stands up to say, my lord, this part of the investigations will be handled by experts, forensic experts. So they will not be needed. Then
because it's a
cyber-related offense. So they will not be needed. Then the judge goes again like, how long is the investigations going to take? Then he says between 1 to 2 weeks. Then the judge asks him, wouldn't you need him for the investigation? Then again. And then the police says, as and when we need him, we'll call him. Because the investigations are being done by forensic experts. Right? Then we sit down. The judge writes his ruling and says that the police says that investigations are ongoing and that he is remanding him.
And he couldn't say at the request of the police, at the request of the prosecution?
No.
Because the prosecution have not so requested?
No.
Oh, serious. So he was determined to keep him?
The question is this. That is why I was highlighting the importance of the investigator who determines whether he needs him for his investigations or not and passes it on to the prosecutor who then relays it to the judge. The investigator had concluded that he doesn't need him. And we were therefore not surprised that the prosecutor had also stated that he didn't need him, he was not needed for the investigations. The judge is not part of the investigations. So how then do you conclude that he should be remanded, right? He should be remanded subject to the conclusion of the investigations, and you adjourn it for the period that you have been told that the investigations will take.
That's until when?
Until 30th.
But don't lawyers tell us that the law is in the bosom of the judge? And so whatever happens, whatever the investigator, the prosecution say, the judge still has his discretionary authority to determine that even if all of you think he's okay, I think that I'll keep him in custody, and then he will remand him.
So the discretion of the judge is not in a vacuum. The discretion of the judge is not in a vacuum. The discretion of the judge should be exercised judiciously. And when you look at Section 96 of the Criminal Offences and Procedure Act, Act 30, it spells out the things the judge would have to consider.
On the screen?
On the screen.
So read it for us.
Section 96. Subject to this section, a court may grant bail to a person who appears or is brought before it on a process or after being arrested without a warrant, and who is prepared at any time or at any stage of the proceedings or after conviction pending an appeal to give bail, and enters into a bond in the prescribed manner with or without sureties, conditioned for that person's appearance before that court or any other court at the time and place mentioned in the bond, despite anything in subsection 1 or in section 15, but subject to the section, the High Court, let's look at section 5. Please take us to section 5. Section 96, subsection 5.
Yeah, a court.
Yes. A court shall refuse to grant bail if it